Episode 3 of the Monday Night RAW reviews. I've no longer got John Jacobs. He's got 2 crying babies to deal with. Lissy, no crying babies. She's put them away for the weekend. Lissy, how are you?
Just here, holding it down for JJ.
Well, someone's got to. JJ, we hope that your illustrious, very good-looking children get well soon. However, you're left with the dynamic duo. We'll be back to a 3-man booth later in the week for, I think, pay-per-view review. I think Unforgiven 2001, where Kurt Angle, I know he said no spoilers, but I'm sorry, it's 20 years. Kurt Angle beat Stone Cold in Pittsburgh, I think, which was a great feel-good moment on the back of 9/11. I think he lost it the day after as well, so don't get too comfortable with that, Kurt. But today we look at Stone Cold Steve Austin famously stunning Vince McMahon in the Garden, September the 22nd, 1997. Lissy, what do you remember of that fateful night at MSG?
Ooh, a lot of energy. Obviously, MSG is the Mecca of sports. You
can say sports entertainment. I won't judge you.
Period. I was gonna say sports entertainment, but I didn't want to use the jargon.
Wrestling. I'm not from the South. You're all right.
Yeah, but MSG is the Mecca for definitely for wrestling, especially for WWF, because they just have so much history, and I think in the opening credits of this one, they kind of walk through that, which is nice. Gives you a little bit of nostalgia, but also showing that they're turning the page here. So a lot to come. This is the beginning of the Attitude Era, and I don't think we ever looked back from there.
Yeah, you think if you go through it in say, stages, but we'll cover the card in full detail afterwards, but you've got the Hart Foundation in full swing here. You've got DX, Shawn was just becoming into that guy. They've just, robbed the Bulldog in the UK the weekend before. Again, the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart's the world champion. But you've also got Cactus Jack debuting against Triple H in that famous street fight. And again, Stone Cold is becoming the guy without necessarily being pushed to the top of the card yet. So, interesting times. WCW have been ahead at this stage, I think, around 30, 40 weeks in a row. You've got the NWA in full swing, Sting. You've got the Cruiserweight division and the mid-card still flying. So, 1997, I mean, I was at my peak fandom here. I was, again, as the shirt probably gives it away, I'm a Bret Hart guy. The Hart Foundation made me pop my tits throughout the entire summer. What are your memories? Because, again, around the same, well, basically, you're little bit younger than me. But who were your guys in 1997?
Shawn Michaels was always my guy. So
Even here.
Shawn never lost me, and he still hasn't lost me till this day. But especially here, because he was starting to get more edgy, and but he still did the little cute dance coming out to the ring, and he still had the ladies on his side. This is the begin. Yeah, we're just in the beginnings of the DX days, and I think that this was such a cool time in wrestling. I remember all of my cousins would literally, doesn't matter where we were, they would walk around giving anyone and everyone a Stone Cold Stunner. I'm sure. I thought
you were going to give it that.
No, we're not even there yet. And then,
yeah, that's true. You're right.
Then the crotch chopping was just at an all-time high. It was really fun. I mean, I definitely was such a tomboy, so I was in on it with them. So, Shawn was and has always been my guy. So he was still number one back then for me.
Still number one. He's now the European champion as well. We'll see the fallout of this in the show. So if you go onto the WWE Network, if you want to go onto, give you the actual address link, it's watchw.com/episode/raw-6159. It's the September 22nd, 1997 edition of Monday Night Raw. We're live from the, again, as you would say, the Mecca of sports entertainment. And we're going to click play in 3, 2, 1. And this intro right here is just
so cool.
I just remember every show at this area, and the logo as well, the blue and yellow logo. Oh man, 97 was just peak for me. I remember every morning, like WWF Live Wire with Todd Pettingill, and then I think Michael Cole took over by 97, 98.
Yeah.
And by this stage, I think he's now the director of broadcasters or director of announcers even. And again, all the old champions being paid respect to. Again, Pedro Morales a little bit from
Yes.
Piper.
So good. Andre, their jewel. The Iron Sheik. I love him on Twitter, by the way. He never gets old.
Is that actually him?
No, have you seen his documentary?
I have not. Should I?
Yeah, it's actually really good. So he has two nephews or something of that capacity,
Right.
like his best friend growing up, his son, and I think his friend or cousin, something to that effect. They, they rediscovered him. They helped him, get clean because he was like laced out on drugs, crack even.
Yeah, well, right.
Helped him, rebrand himself and get on Twitter and things like that. So it's definitely worth a watch. I enjoyed it a lot.
Just for people who aren't actually watching along with us, the WWF, as they were now, are recapping all the most famous events from the past, you probably say 10, 15, 20 years of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, got all up until now in the Garden. So we've seen Iron Sheik winning the belt here, Hogan obviously beating the Iron Sheik to launch Hulkamania, Sergeant Slaughter against Pat Patterson, who had some of the most brutal boot camp matches there in the 80s, Superstar Billy Graham. Still want, there's Sean. Survivor Series 96. I absolutely howled when Sid beat him for the belt. And then obviously on the same card, Brett and Austin, which will still feed into it on this day. I'm pretty sure, we're just discussing off air, Lissy, that it was WWF one night only in Birmingham 2 nights before. And I'm pretty sure Brett and Stone Cold, if they weren't the main event, they were the semi-main. Ignore me, I'm talking absolute nonsense. It was Bret Hart against The Undertaker. But was Stone Cold even there?
I'm not sure.
I had the that was one of my prized possessions. I had this VHS as well. It was a great card for The Undertaker Bret Hart match was great. It was just ended by an awful DQ. Vader beat Owen Hart. And just before we go into tonight's card, great from AEW to team with the Owen Hart Foundation. There's going to be a tournament upcoming, which will be known as the Owen. And great to see arguably one of the best in-ring technicians finally properly honoured. So, great work, Tony Khan and the team.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him do a lot more of that sort of thing. I think we all love cups. We grew up watching King of the Ring, and you mentioned the Crockett Cup when we were talking earlier. Like, they're just so exciting when they're done properly.
The Crockett Cup was awesome. It's big deal. It was in the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and it had the best tag teams in the world. And likewise, I remember as a kid, King of the Ring was huge. Like Everything. Brett winning 93, I think Owen win 94. But then all throughout the 90s, I think Triple H might have won 97. Stone Cold obviously launched in 96. Ken Shamrock in 98. And then the Attitude Era just kind of swallowed up everything. But yeah, we'll see. WWF for Life is a weird hybrid. But MSG, I think this was Madison Square Garden's first sellout in around 6-7 years. So business was hot here in 97. And we have got the People's Champion, Rocky Maivia, some interesting ring gear. I haven't remember seeing that. Leading on the nation for our opening contest, which is The Rock challenging Ahmed Johnson for the in the quarterfinal to the Intercontinental title match. Stone Cold's obviously just forfeited the belt, having beaten Owen Hart for the title at SummerSlam just 6 weeks previous. Can't defend that, so now that's been held up and a tournament's being crowned. And I'm pretty sure the finals of which would be in 3 weeks' time at In Your House Bad Blood. And like I said, I remember that being the most coveted thing out here. I had the old VHS, which was an 18 certificate as well, so I had to plead with my mum to buy it for us. 18, what's going on in this? It's awesome. Undertaker just beats the shit out of Shawn Michaels for half an hour.
Like, I need it, Mom.
I need it. I would be lending people that in school and getting like some serious favors. Really? Yeah, that would be that. Honestly, it was almost like contraband in prison.
I love
Let's just track it here because Commissioner Slaughter's out here and he is getting rid of the nation.
Well, see, I find it interesting because you see a version of still known as Rocky, right? You could tell that the tides were shifting. And obviously we know that, Farouk was the leader at this time, but it got to the point where like The Rock was starting to be more popular than the actual leader. And you saw him really come into his own. Like he started coming out super cocky, talking shit. Like he was really, really coming into his own at this time. And he was only, I don't even think this was 2 years, not even 1 year past his debut, because he debuted the previous year at Survivor Series.
He debuted at Survivor Series at 96 when he came out with all the tassels as Rocky Maivia. But I'm pretty sure he'd been sent down to what was then WWE's developmental in Memphis around, I want to say like late 95, early 96. So he'd only been wrestling about a year. Yeah. When you think that's such a short space of time for in the world of professional wrestling, when there's people out there, we're talking like Ric Flair, arguably one of the greatest in-ring talents of all time. By the time he became the NWA champion, he'd be wrestling 10 years. When you're wrestling 300 times in the calendar year as well. So, The Rock was, Jim Ross says when he signed him, he just knew straight away. Now look at his pedigree, look at his genes, and just first of all, look at his face. He has it.
All of it.
All of it. And he's gonna, he just needs to try and get through this match with Ahmed Johnson, who is, I don't know how to say he has a touch of the Nia Jaxes, but, he has a bit of a reputation.
Yes. Well, I think to touch on that point, we talk about this a lot. The second generation wrestlers have it tough. I feel like the third generation wrestlers, everything's good to them. I mean, you look at The Rock, you look at Randy Orton, you look at Natalia, there's many others that I feel like once you get past that second generation and the family of the third generation, they can really tap into that prestige.
I'd love that DDT of The Rock's. Like, I remember getting the first ever Warzone game for the PS1, and that was one of the first moves you could do with the little fly around the corner. Oh,
just snaps it.
And there's a guy. Oh my God, it's Captain Lou Albano. What's he doing there?
He's taking notes.
I don't even remember him being involved at this point. Do you have any recollection of Captain Lou here?
Tiny bit. I mean, I don't think he was around for very long. I do remember, I believe it was earlier than this though, him being a secondary manager to the Head Shrinkers with Alpha. Yes. Otherwise, not a lot of action from him in the 90s. But it was like he's scouting.
He's scouting for talent. Yeah, I know. I still love the old throwback of having the photographers around the ring. Like it is a genuine
love that.
Sporting event. I hated when that ceases to exist.
Well,
The Rock is very animated.
Sports entertainment after.
I still can't get over Ahmed Johnson with his. What is his gear?
There's a lot going on.
Knee pads become thigh pads. Into the steel steps. The Rock laying the smackdown early.
We'll talk about someone who. He was a big guy, obviously had some athletic ability, very injury prone. Also, I mean, just he was kind of in and out, struggled with his weight. I think by the time a couple of years later, got some blood going, that when we saw him in WCW, he was just huge.
Was it Big T? Right thinking that?
Big T, yeah.
And he was very big T. He was a big boy. The Rock going for an old-fashioned schoolboy kick out of referee Timmy White there.
I love Tim White. Okay, I'm from Boston, so I have to love Tim White because he's from Boston too.
Right. Okay.
When he's always in the Andre documentaries, and when I hear him, I'm like, oh my god.
He was the one I think in the 80s, right? You had to ferry Andre around the basically.
Yeah.
Get him out of bed.
He was Andre's man. He did everything for him.
The Rock, big time spine buster. Go for the pin. Oh, he can't go for the pin. Ahmed selling the effects of being thrown into the steel steps.
No, he had a little bit of blood on the hand. You didn't see it?
I didn't see. Oh, wow.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a scratch.
Oh. I was more admiring some of the hairstyles in the front row. This is so 90s.
So
there was a blonde girl in the second row with a serious head of hair on her.
It's the bangs for me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Next to a Dude Love shirt. Well, he's going to just be disappointed in about an hour's time when Dude Love doesn't show up.
I thought Dude Love was so cool, by the way. I remember there was a episode of Raw that came to Boston. I made a Dude Love sign. It had like the hand and it had like the tie-dye going down it. I thought he was just so cool.
We need some of these. We need some of these like old snaps of these signs and like a young Lissy at the height.
There wasn't a lot of pictures back then. You have to remember, everybody has a phone and the camera's on the phone now. I mean, back then it was if you had a camera, if you had a film, and if you developed the film, there was a lot of factors that went into the picture.
Pearl River Plunge. And Ahmed Johnson gets it done. I love the Pearl River Plunge as a kid.
Yeah.
It was cool as tits.
It was a cool move. High impact.
Way better.
Here he is.
I've always never understood as well. This may be really weird. How or why people wrestle with earrings in. Like,
I don't know.
In Punk's early run, he'd always wrestle with a lip ring. And I'm thinking, how is that safe? Like, surely you get smacked or you get punched. Again, being stupid young Mark. But if you get punched, you could slice or you get punched in the face.
It just gets ripped out.
Good old JR.
You love these jackets.
The three-man boot, the tremendous jacket. We've got Infighting amongst the Heart Foundation. This was when Marlena became Pellmanized. Goth Pellman. Well, different kind of Pellmanized.
Yes, yes.
And I think this is one of the last few times we saw Hunter Hearst Helmsley as Hunter Hearst. I'm pretty sure he became Triple H for the next 3 or 4 weeks afterwards, and then we go into DX. And the main event is Bret the Hitman Hart against Gore. You know, I was listening to the podcast on AEW saying that we had 2.0 against Moxley in Kingston last week. And it's one of those matches where you knew the outcome anyway. In 97, 98, you would always have, or invariably, you'd have like a top guy against a lesser opponent. You knew they're going to win, but that it invariably lead to an angle afterwards.
Yeah.
Which is where the money was. Let's track this because we have heading down to the ring Stone Cold Steve Austin, wherever he is. Top babyface of the company. Get the camera up here, jackass. Where is he? Oh my God, he's been absolutely mobbed.
He's in the crowd. He's among the people. Look at Vince.
And you forgive me, we haven't really been told at this stage that Vince is the owner of the company explicitly yet, right?
He's not Mr. McMahon yet.
He's not Mr. McMahon. That's right. Owen Hart has a restraining order in place. So it's interesting to see how Stone Cold gets. Yeah, he has a restraining order. So I'm sure he comes out and stuns him a few times. And that's when I remember, again, absolute peak fandom was the build-up to the Royal Rumble 98, where Austin just came out. Anyone who's involved in a match, just come and stun them and run off.
Just stun them. That's it.
And when his music came on for the Royal Rumble 98, everyone stands waiting for him. Lissy, explain, what are we actually watching right now? Explain to the viewers out there.
So I think this was promoting laser tag, and this was Sable's mission. You know, they were always trying to find something for her to do.
Absolutely.
Had to. She was one of Vince's crown jewels.
They tried to turn her into Pamela Anderson here, even down to the barbed wire.
Yes, she has that barbed wire look.
Yeah.
If you've seen it, that definitely became her look for those couple of years. But she just be pretty. That's what she did.
Yeah, it's a bit. Vince likes a particular look, doesn't he? God love him.
Jack, I need to turn my lights on.
You need to turn your lights on.
It's so dark.
So you turn the lights on. And I'll track it here. In the crowd, we've got one of the all-time greats, Sharon Athletic Commission in New York City, Floyd Patterson. I think this is the time where I think, they're still trying to get in with the big wigs, but we're going to recap of One Night Only. I want to track this because this is, at the time of recording, this is 24 years today. And as a Brit, this was criminal. The Bulldog dedicates this match to his sister Tracy, who is dying of cancer. Dying of cancer. Big babyface, hometown hero, losers. Sean and his cronies go to Vince and convince him, I should win the belt. Which then, if you think 2 months later, the European Championship, which again was held with someone like me growing up, it was seen as quite coveted. That was the one replica belt I had as a kid. And when Sean won the European title, by the time he won the world title, it meant nothing, didn't it?
Nothing.
Sean won with the figure 4.
Sorry, it's like so bad. Okay. I'm back for real this time. Okay, this is best. Sorry.
That's fine. The week before, I think 2 weeks before, we saw the debut of the insurance policy, which was Rick Rude. And if you look at the pictures now, we're watching it 17 minutes, 10, 11, 12, 13. The ring is filled with trash. And you've got Owen Hart, Bret Hart, and Martha Hart, Davey Boy's wife, consoled him as Sean.
No, Diana.
Goads the crowd. Diana, sorry. Did I say Martha? Fortunately.
It was on our mind with Owen.
On our mind earlier. And now we've got The Undertaker coming out, preparing for Hell in a Cell 3 weeks later. Again, there's so much going on. It's so weird to think that they were getting so heavily beaten the ratings of WCW when they had such an improved product from like the year before or 2 years before. You think 2 years earlier, Kevin Nash had just headlined SummerSlam against Mabel, and storyline wise, there wasn't a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot of Sean versus Diesel. Then
it was the clip.
Yeah.
Plenty of things. Your boy Sean ruining the business. Good man.
He redeemed himself, remember?
He redeemed himself, yeah. Of course he did.
Yes, he did.
I'm just trying to work out what was going on. In WCW in 95, that was when Hulk Hogan had come in and likewise just ruined the product. He brought in every familiar face he ever worked with because he wanted to feel comfortable. He beat Vader, who'd retired Ric Flair. He then retired Ric Flair as well in 94.
Well, then it was like that weird time where it was like Kevin Sullivan.
Dungeon of Doom.
Dungeon of Doom.
So, Kevin Sullivan's accent.
To destroy Hulk Hogan. It was just a lot.
Destroy Hulk. I can't do the accent right. But is Kevin Sullivan's accent, is that atypical of a man from, or is that just a strong, thick Boston?
No, he has a proper, strong, thick Boston accent for a man his age.
Right.
So he has like the super old Boston accent. It's progressed a little bit since then.
Okay. So if you were to go back home, would you be seen as well spoken, or do you find your accent it'd come back to you? Would you start talking more Boston after a few days back home?
Well, after I have a couple glasses of wine, the Boston accent comes out anyway.
Jack, don't talk to me. I can't do an accent. I can't do American accents. English.
No, you start saying car and things like that, and I think I was watching one of our episodes from a few weeks ago, and I'm like, you have to be careful, and I'm like, careful. I have to be careful.
Careful. The Undertaker.
I love this Undertaker. Look at him.
He's very much the guy here.
Yeah.
97, especially 98, where the thing with him and Kane, it's basically Stone Cold with Kane and the Undertaker on top for pretty much 12 months. You probably got, again, Mankind and Mick Foley thrown in as well. And this is why probably Taker is still seen as the man.
Definitely. I think we talked about it a little bit last week. just the progression of his character as well. Like he went from Gray Undertaker to Purple Undertaker, Lost Pallbearer, and then he's this Undertaker, which, you know, that super dark, you know, netherworld, as I like to call him, Undertaker. I think Purple Undertaker is always my favorite because that's really the one that I remember from the, you know, more memorable times in my childhood. But this is, if that's number one, this is 1A Undertaker for me. Because this was before he started doing all the weird shit too, the ministry stuff.
What do you class as weird shit, Lissy? Let's give us a look into your life.
Like, come on, like the
embalming,
like before he started the ministry,
kidnapping,
before he kidnapped Stephanie, the crucifixions, like all that. Like this was right before then. So he was still that dead man, but without all of the antics.
You went into it then. The dead man. Listen, dead man, I'm coming for your ass. In eternal damn. I realized I did watch.
But the longer we spend time together, the better your Boston accent is becoming.
Thank you. We've got to interrupt this. I've got to track it because Undertaker's been interrupted by the new European champion. That's the move. I can never.
Look at.
It's like a shoulder shimmy. It's like he should be on Strictly.
How does he do it? Look at him.
Dead man.
How hard was it for him to keep that straight face? Look at him. No emotion.
Staring him down. I mean, yeah, the problem with in mid-97 as well, Shawn was obviously trying to play a super nice guy babyface, and just look at him.
Mm-hmm.
He is a quintessential heel in every possible capacity. If you're, again, I always think, if you're looking at a wrestler, especially you as a guy, and again, majority of the audience, I'm presuming 85% is probably guys, you think, God, I want to see him get beat up. Just look at him. He's too pretty.
Is that how you guys think?
Look, he's far too pretty. You're either too pretty or you're too annoying or you're both.
He's both.
I mentioned earlier, like you look at Tully Blanchard, God, he's such a prick. Such a prick. Which is why you want like Dusty Rhodes, you want a Magnum TA, just beat the shit out of him, Magnum. And that's the thing that's been brought back, I'd say, with AEW, building heat towards angles. Like when you saw Powerhouse Hobbs slam Punk through the table last week, go, oh God, that's a bit, that hurts.
You felt it, yeah.
Yeah, you felt it, exactly. It makes you feel. There you
also,
go. Did you read that line? I've got closed captions of Shawn Michaels. The Heartbreak Kid doesn't lay down for anybody.
He said, what do you say? Unless you're a hot mama.
Heartbreak Kid doesn't lay down for anybody. And this is the 22nd of September, 1997. And who knew? Just 2 months later, yeah, Shawn wasn't doing the honors for Brett.
No.
I don't care if it is Montreal. Hitman. I think we're about a week, and I think we've passed the summer of him making the Sunny Days comment. I think that was earlier. I want to say about June, because they were supposed to face each other at King of the Ring. And Brett was hurt. They ended up writing him off because he had an injury. And again, if you listen to JR, you listen to Bruce saying, yeah, Brett's wrestled her before. If he really wanted the match, he could have wrestled. But he wasn't doing any favors for good old HBK after that. And now we've got the thing of 1997. Still the most downloaded woman on America Online.
I just love her music too.
I'd sing it all the time, and I'm sure my dad was looking at me with one eyebrow raised. What's that, Jack?
Like, what are you singing?
Yeah. You playing with dolls and are you doing that? So I'm all right, that's fine.
Well, you were also part-time Mankind too at the time, so it was just a lot going on.
I look at him and I feel pleased for Chris Candido, and I feel really heartbroken for the man as well.
Listen, the things that she has said, the things that she did, and the worst part is, you know, in reality, whatever they say, it was actually worse happening. Where she'd say that they'd be in a hotel and she would stay with Chris until he fell asleep or whatever, and then go be with Sean. It's like he must have just been a laughing stock back down in the locker room.
If she had a bowl of chips, this is for the American audience. If she had a bowl of chips, she was definitely double dipping. That's all I'm saying. There are times when she has snuck off in with one, and I am just hoping she showered in between. That's all. And again, as a guy who is so heavily now influenced by 80s NWO wrestling, it is so weird to see the Road Warriors here as a Legion of Doom. A bit up to there on the side, actually, I think.
I've just always loved them. They were just so badass.
George Napolitano definitely there on the side anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah, our second match of the evening is the Legion of Doom against the Nation of Domination. I think it's Farouk and Kama Mustafa. I think Kama is still here as the supreme fighting machine, the supposed shoot fighter.
It's kind of like he's blended in a bit. I mean, remember he was just Kama. Then when he came in the Nation, became Kama Mustafa. You know, had to bring the brotherhood mix onto his name.
I tell you, I love the I was so terrified of Papa Shango as a kid.
Oh my God, he was terrifying. Terrifying.
That was awful. I remember being traumatized.
The smoke. Oh.
I say Hawk and Animal here are probably around, I want to say late 30s, maybe like 37 at this point. They're still in phenomenal shape. Big boys.
Yeah, I would say 37-ish, but still, they could still go at this point. I mean, they were just on top for so long. You know me, I'm going to say this every time. You know I love tag team wrestling, and I feel like they embodied what it was, because they also, like, even though they were two really big guys, usually two big guys don't have like that same chemistry. Like, they each had their own style and did their own thing too.
Well, Hawk was always the better talker of the two, because he was quite clever. And if you listen to old episodes of What Happened When, Tony Schiavone said, if you're in the old TBS studio, them two would come out and everyone just goes quiet, because in 1986, they were legit. They were look at that clothesline. God, this is Ron Simmons he's hitting as well.
Right.
The crowd would kind of go quiet for fear of like, oh, these guys mean business. Even then, like it might be something of something's not quite right here, but you get in a fight with these two boys, they're going to be.
They were going up there and kicking the shit out of people every night too, so they backed it up.
We snack on danger, and we dine on death. I just always remember some of the quirk, because Hawk would always say the cute one-liners.
Cute little liners, right?
Like say something like we're going to be there in a bad mood. Good for us, bad for you. Just the way he'd look at the camera and say it. Like absolute pro. Misses with a leg drop. And if I know Road Warriors matches in this era, Farouk will get in. Again, these worked a lot in WCW when Ron Simmons was a badass with Doom. He was also brought in as one of Dusty's guys in the late 80s. But Hawk generally is the guy to take a lot of the heat, and then Hawk comes in. Animal takes the heat, and Hawk comes in as the hot tag. Hawk was always seen as the guy who could have been the world champion. He main evented, I think, the first Bash show in '86 against Flair, 20,000 in the Philly. I don't know, you'll know this more than me. Some big stadium in Philadelphia.
The Spectrum Center.
No. I know what you mean, because that's where most. That's where most events.
You said sorry, yeah. No, I mean, Mayhem has already ensued. We have The Rock back out here. We got our guy D'Lo. 4-on-2 action.
and I'd love straight away. I always notice, well, that's just me. So it's a DQ. It's been thrown out. The Legion of Doom win the match. Ahmed Johnson comes to the save. The timekeeper, which I think is Mark Eaton, would always ring the bell a certain amount of times. Maybe the same.
It had a little
ding ding ding
ring
ding
to
ding 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 ding.
Yeah, he's done.
Which is really hard to explain, but it's always in my head. You will know there is a certain sound. He must do it so often. And here come all the referees. What a squad!
I always loved
the suit. Is that Bruce?
Came out. It's like, what are
Gerald
they going to do?
Briscoe. Gerald Briscoe, who turned 75 yesterday. Many happy returns to Mr. Briscoe.
Do you love his hair and his beard these
Mr.
days?
McMahon. I love the hair. The mutton chops I can't get on board with.
There's a lot going on.
I'll give him credit where it's due.
I mean, for someone that age that's able to still grow it like that, that's great.
Yeah, 75 and still seemingly in great mental nick. Him and JBL do really good podcasts every week, and I'm pretty sure he's been signed up by ad-free shows. He does like a weekly mailbag in there. But yeah, Joe Briscoe, undoubtedly one of the greats of the game. Coming up next, we've got Brian Pillman against Owen Hart. And this is, if you remember, I'm pretty sure Brian Pillman beat Goldust to win.
Yes.
And again, we're about different types.
Won.
To win the services of Marlena.
What was it? Was it 30 days and 30 nights? Some crazy number like that.
30, yeah, I think you're right. I'm pretty sure it's 30. And yeah, and she kind of went a bit gothic. She was always dressed in the purple robes, big cigars. And here comes Owen Hart. If you didn't know already, he's a 2-time Slammy Awards winning guy.
Wow.
Look at those jackets. Do you know what? If I ever, I'd love to own one for fear that, you know, my missus would hate me even more. And I would wear it all the time.
You wear that shirt too, right? The one you have on right now.
I don't think I'm allowed to wear this in public. So I've got to make the most of it. But that jacket with my own name there, sort of Owen.
Perfect.
Oh God.
He has New York's finest with him. I always loved when they like brought the cops into it because it's like, who are these cops?
And that's quite traditional from the 80s when the guys would genuinely need police escorts for fear of getting stabbed.
Of course.
Read the story about Ole Anderson threatening some guy. So he came in the ring and stabbed him. Piper got stabbed, I think, in Raleigh, North Carolina in 83.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Sergeant Slaughter got like death threats and everything. Like, it was just such a weird time. People really took it to that level.
And here's the loose cannon Brian Pillman with Marlena, who is looking all the way alive. Leather miniskirt. What would you call that? Just a leather bra?
She looks like she's about to hit the pole right now. So
she suits a collar. Well, that's all I'm going to say. But
it's a little S&M-ish, actually.
I'm not hating it. Look, she's working it.
No, I mean, honestly, her, like, she was just like so bomb. I remember always thinking that of her. Like, she was just always in amazing shape. And she had her daughter was just a couple years old this time too.
Can we just say as well, right? The WWF's weird. Oh, he's actually pulling the collar as well. That's a nice touch.
See, S&M, there it is.
The weird camera angles in 96, 97. Michael Hamflet on What Culture says, the Attitude Era just stinks of jizz. If you don't know what jizz is and you're American, it's a British term, but look it up. But
we know what jizz is.
Oh, okay, just checking. But the underskirt cameras, which, you know, I think became famous from like the British tabloids in the 90s.
The poorest taste.
What is going on?
It was the beginning of the end.
You've heard the King's just been talking about that she got a belly button ring in the week, and Vince McMahon telling to shut up. Let's just track this because Pillman's on the mic.
Go ahead.
You see, late last night, while Dustin was reading the counter of 3,000 eggs.
Oh no.
He can't even turn around. She's just not standing. She's just standing there, not looking at him at all.
When I had her
Also, it's the handbag for me.
That last glorious position, I slipped and fell in the bathtub and broke my arm. What? And now,
You just said I had a bent over in that glorious position.
Yeah.
but I know
Yeah.
that Owen, my comrade of the Horde Foundation,
Can you imagine in 2021 if you saying that I have just taken your wife, as you were reading your daughter and Three Little Pigs, I was having your wife squeal like a pig.
No. No. Can't.
Owen the Horde Foundation.
Yeah, 24 years, a long time in the world of professional wrestling.
I mean, and if you've ever seen the movie Deliverance, the squealing like a pig reference is very bad.
If you got a broken arm, where's your
I just remember it's a scene from The Office, the British version, which is cringeworthy funny.
But honestly, Brian Pillman was just so good. Like, you believed this man. You believed that he was mentally unstable.
Loose cannon?
I mean,
that's quite clever of Sarge.
This match is Intercontinental Tournament match. Will go on a schedule. Or you will never ever wrestle in a World Wrestling Federation again.
Sarge used to throw the book at them.
Sarge, I no prisoners, and that's not Mike Yoder, is it?
Let me see.
I can't work out who the referee is.
No.
But the match goes ahead as planned. Brian Pillman was thrown a microphone by Sarge, caught off guard. So this match must go ahead.
Your arm's not broken.
Flying Brian is still in great shape. I think by this stage he had built up a lot of pain pill issues. If you remember, just before he was supposed to join the WWF the year previously, around before, I think 40 months ago, he suffered a horrific car crash.
Yeah.
He broke his leg, I think he broke his arm, broke several things. He developed quite a strong pain addiction. But it's weird to think, within 3 weeks of this, Brian Pillman is no longer with us, which
Insane.
is scary. And now we've got his son, Flying Brian Jr., wrestling on national TV again. Look at that. Clean break. Two wonderful guys here.
Also, in retrospect, that you know that these two were like best friends. It's just, it's wonderful to watch, and they train together.
Owen playing this at like clean break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big
Owen's just such a good heel.
So for those who aren't watching along with us, Owen and Brian are going through great fundamentals here by the drop down, toe hold, snapmare. They are going through a bit of a clinic, whilst
A true clinic.
an absolute wrestling clinic here. So headlock into an armbar.
Very ginger.
1, 2. Kick out at 2. And they go for a break with Owen appealing for a 3 count.
We'll be right back.
Don't go away.
Was this the first commercial?
Right, explain to me as a British guy, what's Stridex?
Stridex was a facial cleaner, like wipes that you would for like acne or like dirt and oil. That's what that was.
Like clear, I think in the UK we'd call it Clearasil.
We had Clearasil too,
Right,
but
okay.
Stridex they were actual, it's like a little container that had the actual pads that were pre-moistened in there for you.
Right, okay. Come back to my acne-filled teen days. Oh, Owen with a cheap shot.
Whoa.
And rams it into the steel chest. Oh, Marlena she looks like she's enjoying that. Oh, okay, this is broken down. It's kind of I don't know if I'm too perverted, but wow, Terry as a goth is, man, taking all the right boxes.
It's a look for her.
Love a nose ring on a go. one of our esteemed Joseph, if you're editing this right now, we did some filming 2 months ago. The guy who edits this podcast, and he explained to me he has a type saying, "I like an alternative type of girl." I said, "What does that mean?" Alternative. So a pair of Doc Martens, but don't go overboard. Wear a Doc Martens. I'll take a nose ring, but I don't want to see necessarily a big keychain. Yeah, exactly. I like a balance check, as you should, young man. Oh, and now thrown into the ropes. This is going to be a double. Has to be a double collision. Yeah, double crossbody.
Oh,
I've watched too much wrestling at this point. When you see them whizzing around,
you just know too much.
But the New York
You know
crowd
what's happening.
is really into this, and I think this was one of the first times we actually saw people from the same stable or faction actually going
Wrestle
against each other. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've toyed with doing nothing at all, the crowd is going mental because here's Goldust.
Happening. It's happening.
And he hits Owen first, trying to get the Pellman. So you think that's a DQ, and Owen wins.
Pillman, so good, so good. Shuffles her the hell out of there.
The official call. Brian Pellman is running off with Marlena.
And she's helpless. We got Briscoe holding Goldust back.
Just a bit. Oh my God! It looks so much. Again, it looks so much like dust in here.
What's this?
Goldust is gone.
Oh. It was a hard-fought battle.
Oh,
Wow.
it's the NYPD for Austin. Owen dedicates the victory again to his wonderful brother Bret Hart, which incurs the wrath of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And this is so Austin is currently counted by 4 of New York's finest, and Vince McMahon throws his headset off, comes into the ring, grabs a microphone,
rage,
because this is when history takes place. 24 years ago.
I'm so excited, and I already know what's gonna happen.
God, Vince was hardly an on-screen performer at this stage. This is like when you're trying to talk around your drunk mate who's just kicked off in a club, and the bouncers are after him. Just give me a minute. Let me have a word with him, please.
Yes.
I can sort this. I ain't through with you, Vince. Not by a long shot. I think was he tag champs with Dude Love at the time as well.
Mm-hmm. Don't break the law, okay?
I mean, look, no disrespect to those 4 coppers. Austin looks like he would whip all of them one by one.
First of all, they're not even real cops. I'm sure of it.
And they used to be in WCW.
Yeah, back then, I don't think these guys were real cops. They look like hired help.
They got working officers.
Also, it's the nightstick for me. I always love that little ode to the boss man.
Ode to the boss man. And Vince trying to talk him around like I can't put you in this position. If you do damage to yourself, it hurts us. I remember this like yesterday. This is all I do, Vince. I can't do anything else. I'm a wrestler.
Everybody.
And you very rarely saw Vince or any of the recognize him as Steve Austin, because there's been hammering the Stone Cold moniker.
Did you see this? He's queuing it up. He's like
Oh,
Okay, this is getting a little too sentimental for me. Steve, hurry up.
I think we've just turned into the top of the hour as well. So this is the start of the war zone, as opposed to Raw is War. And they generally invariably started the first hour hot because it helped with the ratings in the quarter hours. Desperate to beat WCW.
This is what I do for a living. This is all that I do. And can't nobody tell I ain't the best in the damn world.
Vince kind of writes smile there going, oh, this is good shit.
To work within the system.
You could say Cool Hand Luke.
Sit on your ass in the house like I am. But if it's ugly, that's what it takes to make you or the World Wrestling Federation happy. Hell, I feel like you'll have
Close. Cool Hand Luke, I remember that. No, don't know idea who he is, but I remember the promo.
That's all these people ask. I appreciate the fact that you and the World Wrestling Federation.
All the closed captions change Federation Entertainment. It's hilarious. You can kiss my ass. The worst stunner of all time.
Oh my God, it's so sloppy. So sloppy.
But the head shaking was hilarious.
Yeah. No, Austin made up for it. Vince, but you have to remember, this was really his first,
Put him in jail. Put him in jail.
ring.
And the crowd are going mental. Look at
Oh, wild. Because come on, think about it. Up until this point, Vince is good guy announcer. He always goes for the face. He's that stable, wants to be a good guy every single week on the mic. And you just have Stone Cold who just, it's basically like stunnering a baby.
There's Dave Hebner, Gerald Briscoe. I really want to know who that referee is because I don't recognize him at all. So young Mike Chioda, Jack Dunn, Tim White, Jimmy Corderas, all the boys.
Jimmy Corderas was still bald back here though, so I think that's always been the case. Like the ladies roll for him.
Yeah, so is that. I can't remember. Did they allude to the fact he's the owner? How do you keep your job now? Great
Good job.
from JR.
Yeah. Well, but still, if you're watching, you would just think, oh, now he's attacking people who aren't wrestlers. So I remember still watching this. We didn't know wholeheartedly. We didn't connect those dots yet.
It was if you saw the reaction from the crowd, you knew, oh my God, he's just on the owner. And if you listen to again old podcasts with JR and Bruce Pritchard, they'll say to him, Vince, everyone knows you own the company. Everyone knows this is your company. Well, goddamn, pal, I'm just the main lead announcer. No, everyone knows you own the WWF.
First of all, I didn't know, Jack.
I didn't know, but I was 10. If you look at the audience,
true. Maybe if you were a bit older, you knew. I'm not. That's true.
But look at the audience at MSG for this night. They're all. This is like AEW crowd now. It's 18 to 49.
True.
And
did you like how in the second hour they would do the restart of like this little like opening segment?
They went from Raw is War to the War Zone, and so they've gone with the. I got it wrong. I thought this was just happening before, but they would do it towards the top of the hour because that's when you get the peak grading times. But I never understood it. Again, I was soon to be 9, turning 10 years old here, and in my head, it was just like, what's the difference? Well, God damn it, pal! We've gone from the Raw is War to the War Zone. What's the difference?
Lit.
How is it different? How does it change? It doesn't mean anything. Again, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, to you.
But yeah,
because we were little kids.
But it was a way to get them in the cable ratings twice as opposed to once.
But also, I want you to know, I don't actually, this played different times where you lived, but I used to have to beg to watch this second hour. And this was the hour that you wanted to watch. This is when all the good stuff happened. Imagine it's like hitting 10 o'clock right now and they're like, it's time to go to bed. You're like, no, Vince just got staggered in the ring. I have to keep watching.
And this is it because Jim Ross has just said then he's stunned the owner of the company.
Yes, yes.
It's the first time it's been openly acknowledged on air.
Yes.
Kayfabe is dead.
Mr. McMahon is born.
It's just the roll over him. He just couldn't get his body. But I do remember watching this and thinking, whenever we did then move on each other at school, it would be the face over them afterwards.
Oh, yeah. If you didn't do that, if you didn't
and
talk shit, come on, you had to.
And in the UK, I thought there's somebody dressing like Marlena in the background. There was we didn't really stick one flip bird at people. It was just piss off. She's really trying to get herself on camera. Oh
yeah. Oh, she's going hard.
Okay, so
Girl,
the king is so offended by this. How dare that man's son?
Listen, he is.
I mean, Austin, and the thing is, they knew him.
Look at Austin's face. He's just so happy to be cuffed.
He's the guy. He's the guy. We just got to get into WrestleMania. Ding, ding, ding. The next match is scheduled for 1 fall with a 20-minute time limit. And this is, again, starting the war zone. You've got Triple H. God, China was in phenomenal shape here.
Phenomenal.
Those arms. Good Lord.
This was before her work, though.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm a girl.
Yeah.
I have to point out this.
She was a fitness model before this, and she became a wrestler.
Yeah, this was before her work, but I love this China because she was such a badass. She didn't talk. She didn't do anything.
Again, this era for the next 12 months, that's a very young looking.
I love that he does the crotch chop, but then the bow. It's very majestic. But
who's the king found in the crowd here?
Listen, he's just excited.
His microphone's not working. The king's found a nice lady in the crowd. But yeah, Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley has just won King of the Ring. The king got 2 microphones that isn't working. Oh, you're working, King, yeah.
Wow. Third one's the charm.
The Queen of Late Night Television. Who's Rhonda Shear? Have you ever heard of her?
Oh, yes. Rhonda Shear was the hostess of WrestleMania 10, I want to say. She used to host a show called Up All Night.
All right, okay. She looks like a table there.
You don't remember? Oh my God.
I can't say it was on BBC, darling. Put it that way.
No, I'm saying she was the host. I believe it was WrestleMania 10 that she was the host of.
Do you know what?
Or at least a special ring announcer, something close to that.
I was 7. I just skipped through the matches. But now this is it. Because Hunter Hearst Helmsley is yet to become Triple H, but he's getting there. He's crotch chop and
you see him. He's getting a little bigger.
He got Shawn Michaels out of, dragged him out of the Birmingham Arena after robbing Davey Boy. And he's supposed to be facing Dude Love, who he just beat 3 weeks earlier at SummerSlam when he smashed his head. China smashed his head into the door. And they're supposed to have a Falls Count Anywhere match. But let's just track it because Dude Love is a special guest in the Love Shack.
Ooh. You know what? That dance, I always did that. The knee dance, I just love it.
Oh, I'm not high enough. But yeah, I that was my go-to move. Go-to move at weddings. Again, watching this as a kid, thinking, how have they done this? This is just, I don't understand.
Yeah, you're like, how is this happening? It's real time. Right now.
Down low, too slow. I've watched this literally hundreds of times. I'm such a geek. I know what you're thinking. If you think I think I'm thinking. It's still bizarre to me that Vince didn't want Mick Foley in the WWE.
You know what? But we talk about this all the time. He didn't fit his look, but people loved him. But it just shows you, like, you don't have to do a lot to, like, get over if people love you.
Yep. And if you get over, you generally stay over.
Yeah.
It's back. And that was it, right? So if you listen to Mick Foley, he'd pitch the idea, and Vince said to him, nobody will know if Cactus Jack is, pal. I'm pretty sure they will. I was kind of a big deal. I was in WCW as Cactus. I was huge in ECW. I'm king of the deathmatch in Japan. Well, we'll give it a try, but I don't expect much.
First of all,
he's been busted open, set on fire.
Even if you were like a little kid like us, like just watching WCW, when he showed up here, we went crazy. Because also, think about it, there was really no hardcore in WWF at that time before he got here.
No, nothing. I can't think of any real. I think it's Piper against Goldust, which is like a
maybe like a street fight or like the cage match, but nothing like this. Especially not on Raw. That was like reserved for pay-per-views.
Yeah, they never really bought into the idea of as Vince got garbage wrestling. God, that sounds like Boston as well. Garbage.
First of all, just say rubbish, okay? It's better for you if you say rubbish.
Well, I don't think Vince McMahon's ever used the term rubbish.
No, I'm saying for you.
Winged net breaker on the exposed concrete floor. My God.
Wow.
And again, very lucky for Mick. He had Jim Ross there, who'd obviously called his matches for a long time, but more importantly, he was probably the greatest announcer of all time. Putting him over like Cactus Jack. Oh my God, this is the most dangerous man in the world right now for Triple H to face up against.
Well, JR calls the match like he doesn't know what's about to happen.
Because he doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's really what it is. Like, he's just so surprised. He's so animated. He brings just so much emotion to it. People believe that JR is outraged. And
we just missed, again, I love Mick Foley's like double clothesline over the top rope. Did the exact same thing for the Mankind Shawn Michaels match we saw in Your House Mind Games. Oh, China clotheslines Cactus Jack over the iron railings. I'm trying to read all the signs of the cameras out on, because the signs in the Attitude Era were all just absolutely wild. There's an awful lot of 316 out there, and it's weird because if you remember where they're wrestling now, that was always the main entrance, wasn't it, in the Garden? If you want to, if you go back to Survivor Series '96, it's such a short entryway.
Yes, if you watch, like, I remember WrestleMania 10, it was like such a tiny little entry, but that was where they used to come out from.
And you never got to see like this look behind the curtain. And there's a sign on the left there.
Yeah, it was like so cool because you always wonder like, oh, what does it look like backstage? Is it, does it look like this? Does it look like that? Now we get to know.
And Foley comes out with the fags and always put me that Mike Chioda was always soaked the toucan by doing that. That was two.
Mm-hmm. This.
Like, looking back, I didn't know what Texas Longhorns were or what that meant, but I would always do that.
Huge. Also, this guardrail was absolutely demolished. Isn't it funny that that's what used to protect us back in the day?
And it was a case of just putting, if it falls back over, which it does there, just put it back over.
Just pick it up.
Triple H with a huge bump out to the outside. That is
look at that.
Oh,
who did you learn that from?
Just a little bit of Sean in there, a little bit of fun. Well, Triple H is here for a man again from, I think he's from Boston, right, more or less.
Who, Triple H?
Mm-hmm.
He's from New Hampshire, a very different place.
Really?
Mm-hmm. No, but he trained with Killa Kowalski in the Boston area, so we accept him. Just kidding, we love him.
What's New Hampshire? Is that posh?
New Hampshire
is that posh Boston?
First of all, if you say New Hampshire, we know where you're from. So if you're from New England, you say New Hampshire, you just, it's one word altogether.
Right.
But it's the state just directly north of Massachusetts. So he's I believe he's from Nashua, which is about 1 hour's drive from Boston.
Oh my God, New Hampshire's actually a state, right? God, I need to do my American education program.
No, you just need to know New England, just the most important part.
I just know the Patriots, right?
That's it.
Tom Terrific, he's now gone to Tampa for the weather.
First of all, he's down here with me, so I'm not mad.
Right, okay.
For people watching, I'm originally from Boston, but I'm a snowbird and I live in Miami the rest of the year when it's not nice in Boston. Actually, even when it's nice in Boston.
No idea what a snowbird is.
You don't know what a snowbird is?
No idea what
it's someone who spends their winters down south in Florida and the summer in Boston.
Right, okay. I thought, see, the cliche from what I've heard is like, didn't just old people go to Florida to retire? Is that a thing?
Yeah, those are the
okay.
snowbirds.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So imagine being a 30-year-old snowbird.
32. But Triple H is going to work with the chair on Cactus Jack, thrown back into the ring by China. Gingerly's been suplexed on the floor, missed a big elbow onto the garbage cans, which again, I've never seen. This was the first match. I think there was a big Chicago street fight. I think there was bits of it at WrestleMania 13 between the Nation and the Road Warriors.
The Road Warriors, yeah. And
But
then
the first real ECW.
Roddy Piper and Goldust had that Hollywood brawl or something out in the parking lot area.
WrestleMania 12, yeah. Just by the way, that's an amazing sunset flip by
wow.
Mick Foley's size onto the outside.
For a man his size, just the agility.
Can we discuss the fact that the cameramen are still dressed like caretakers?
Yes, we can.
What are they called? Are they called boiler suits?
Maintenance worker.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they definitely look like they're gonna be fixing someone's car or something.
Cactus takes an unprotected chair shot by China.
Whoop.
And goes straight into the steel steps. Oh my God, China's down as well.
You know what though? China took her licks back in the day too. I think that's why we liked her.
She earned it. Yeah, she earned her. She earned the stripes in that respect.
She earned her stripes. Remember how we talked about we love Sherry because Sherry was so physical. She's sticking in there. She wasn't afraid. Obviously, China, given her size, was always in that space where she could go back and forth with the guys.
Oh, big back suplex. And again, you've got JR and the King selling us like they're just crippled. Can they even walk? How can they even stand?
Come on.
And they came, we do this in the playground every break time. What are you talking about? No protective match for us, King.
You know what, Jack? We didn't really touch on this or even realize this was that beginning of the King and JR partnership where Vince left the booth and then he became Mr. McMahon. And then we have this iconic duo that are left together. And, you and I are big fans of Gorilla and Bobby. I think, they're 1 and 1A. I'm not going to say who's 1 or who's 1A. Yeah,
and if you remember, it's pretty much after. So Vince still stays there, I think, up until around Survivor says, wow, he's got a. Am I right thinking, is that a snow shovel?
So he's. Yes, it is. So he's there until Survivor Series, and then after the whole incident with Brett, I feel like
Brett screwed Brett. I have no sympathy whatsoever for a man that refused to do the time-honored tradition of this business.
Listen, you know where Brett stands with me, so.
Brett should have just completely shooed on him and just that bump. I think he's in every package afterwards. It just throws him onto the floor. There's like there were 1 minute, 1 hour, 5 minutes, 27, 28, 29. And this is again one of the most famous spots, probably in the Attitude Era. You've got Triple H loading Cactus Jack up onto a table. Is this not a low blow? Yeah. Know it like yesterday. And you can see already like going in the middle and pile driver through the table. 3. Cactus Jack with the winning debut in the World Wrestling Federation. And that was the first time, apart from, because obviously Survivor Series 95 was the first time anyone ever went through the announce table when Bret Hart, I think, got launched by Diesel off the side of the apron. This was the first time you've seen someone genuinely go through an actual table, which again, saw a lot of things from ECW in the 90s without very little credit. Look at that, he's smiling.
I mean, just look at it. I always love the way he does the pile driver too, like just hanging on to the back of the trunks.
Homage to his mentor, baby, Terry Funk.
Hey.
Terry. Great. When the table pops like that, I remember like having the action figures, and you've got one of the tables that's split in half. That could then break. Trying to set up every spot. Look at that. Foley selling it like he's still killed. He's like could barely stand walking out, and now he's doing the Homer Simpson windmill.
There's a lot going on.
And rolling out. Can you say Survivor Super Sweepstakes? There's a lot of shilling going on here in this show.
A lot of what?
Shilling.
What is shilling?
Shilling. Advertise it. You heard shilling. Right, so there's I thought it was Todd Pettingill then. So they've already tried plugging Laser Quest. They've plugged the game. They've plugged Survivor Series, Super Sweepstakes, Stridex, yeah. And we're only 2/3 of the way through the show.
Listen, they were there for the endorsements, okay?
This was and now highlights of Andre the Giant being, I think, was it Big John Studd in the Body Slam Challenge?
Body Slam Challenge, WrestleMania 1.
And if you listen to Bruce Pritchard, that's genuine money, which is why the brain had to run in, because that bag was filled with genuine cash. So,
I mean, but you know Andre, he had a lot of it, so he was ready to just throw it out.
And Bobby, being a genius, thinking on his feet, just ran in, grabbed it, and ran out, because he knew if he was there for longer than 3 seconds, the brain was going to take a pounding.
The weasel.
The weasel. It's weird, you know, if you look at Vince here in 97, by like 98, 99, he actually looked younger.
Well, I think he started to dye his hair. Obviously, he bulked up a lot, and we need to acknowledge that.
Vince was on, I think, the front cover of Muscle and Fitness. Is it Weekly Muscle and Fitness magazine in 99, and then in 2006. But you think at the time he was 58, and then around early 60s, 76 now?
Yeah, again, I mean, didn't he have another cover later when he was a bit older as well?
I think so, yeah. He's been on a few times. He is a genetic jackhammer and then some. We'll track it because they're going back to show highlights of One Night Only.
Oh, dog.
Which was Shawn Michaels defeating Davey Boy Smith. And again, this is such an old, the old practice of they would have the pay-per-view on the Saturday or the Sunday. And then
Saturday.
Raw the day after on Nitro. They would still be selling it with the still photos. So like there was social media there where you can see it gift up or see it on YouTube, see it on Twitter, 2-minute clips. People were still buying the pay-per-views in 2 or 3 days after.
That's true. That's true. You're right.
You've got another window of opportunity to try to flog a few more at $30 a piece. It is just so bizarre how the industry has changed in such a short space of time in terms of the technology and the media. But yeah, ultimately Shawn would go over, which would get horrendous chorus of boos in Birmingham. Now, you like your accents, Lisa. Have you ever met anyone from Birmingham before?
Anyone from Birmingham?
No, Alabama.
No.
Right, just clarify.
The real one.
But from Birmingham, they all talk like everything's quite down, quite despondent.
The accent.
The weather's terrible, yeah. Follow the Villa, Jack Grealish, one of our best players. Everything's a bit, it's just a bit shit, really. It's really, if people up there and Sean is stroking his ass to the ring.
Here's the champ.
Oh, man.
It's a bit insulting that they had Bulldog lose the European title in the UK.
Sean went in politics, and Sean had the Vince.
They did whatever he told them to do.
Pretty much. Well, Vince, JR says Vince always saw himself as Shawn Michaels.
That's who he wanted to be. He
didn't see himself as Stone Cold. He saw himself as like the pretty boy, obnoxious, gyrating, and now he's stripping off for the fans.
Wow, he's doing a lot of posing right now.
If Adam Cole had biceps like that, he'd be the WWE champion.
You always say this, and
look at him. Look at him.
Listen, I say this all the time, and like I love Adam Cole, but Adam Cole in the looks department, he's a handsome face. He's like 7'8". Shawn Michaels is a 9'10".
Adam Cole seems like, again, a nice guy. He's not too good looking where the guys hate him. Not too good looking where
you just said not too good looking. So Shawn Michaels is that 9'10", and Adam Cole is very safe 7.
But there's a difference, because if you get that good looking, it's like, he's probably just going to shag around. He's not going to stay loyal to me. I'm thinking, looking through a woman's eyes, he might be hitting over a few of my mates. How do I know I'm going to be his one and only?
We all aspired to be his.
And when you have a DMD on your arm, you ain't going nowhere, honey. So getting on track here, Shawn Michaels has come out the new European champion, and he's calling out the dead man. He's accusing The Undertaker of not wanting to face him like a man. And if memory serves me correctly, this is where, Sean, from a physique standpoint, is looking pretty ripped, by the way, here. He's, wouldn't mind that top half myself. But I think The Undertaker comes out, and that's when we get DX really starting to form as a cohesive unit. Shawn Michaels must have a death wish. Tremendous.
There's a lot going on. It's a lot. Like, these are things you cannot say on TV today.
Sean is gay. Sean is not gay. Go and ask your mama if Sean's gay. Sean, have you just implied that you fornicated with my mother? Yes, I did. Yeah. 1997, yes. Different time. And now he's doing a chicken dance. But the dead man is presumably on his way here.
Here he is. Look at him. Teardrop Undertaker. Turn around.
Yeah, teardrop. I never understood that. What does that mean? Is that like a prison thing?
It is. It's a prison thing. Right. So I don't know. He was tapping into his biker badass persona before. So
they claim it's a setup. So as soon as the Undertaker comes down, as he's in slightly quicker than normal, Triple H attacks him from behind, and then Shawn Michaels comes, hits him with a chair, and now we have the remaining half of DX, Rick Rude, the insurance policy, and China, all put into it's a great suit, by the way. And
was Rick wearing socks?
And a trend that's come back in the UK, people wearing suits without any socks, which I despise. You go to a race course in the UK, and you will see loads of people wearing those, like trousers that don't come all the way down to the ankle, and
ankle trousers, no socks, with the loafers. It's a look.
And the Undertaker is hulking up here, grabs a chair, starts swinging it, and he's chasing DX like scalded dogs, as JR said. And that is a wonderful segue to In Your House Bad Blood, which is in 3 weeks' time, sponsored by PlayStation. But them two end up facing in, I think that was the first 5-star match Dave Meltzer gave a WWF match for the best part of 3 years. I think the last one was Bret and Owen at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And before then, I don't think there was one.
Yeah, I mean, think about what was happening.
Steamboat Macho Man, 87.
I was going to say it was the Hulk Hogan show before then, so there wasn't a lot.
Yeah. So again, and this is why it's so weird to see the current WWE product, because again, all these programs, angles, they're built on heat. Shawn Michaels calls out The Undertaker, again, dastardly heel faction, attack him. Right, well, the babyface has got him inside a cage in 3 weeks. Buy the pay-per-view to see him get his ass kicked. And be fair, Shawn takes a hell of a beating for half an hour. But let's track it, because we've got, this is some of the greatest theme music of all time.
Here we go.
God, that bell looks so good at him.
I love that. I don't know if you saw this. I forget what he was doing on Instagram like a couple months back, and he's like, the Eagle belt, this is the most beautiful belt. Like, that was, when you think about that belt,
and they showed the current one. What's that? Get that crap out of my way.
Yeah, he's like, not the crap that they have today.
This is a proper world title, a championship belt.
It was, though. I mean, it was a beautiful belt.
He's gonna slate New York, right?
But the best part about this is that Helen Hart, God rest her soul, is actually from New York.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Undertaker, I never was, and I'm still not afraid of you.
Yeah. Go on, Brett, slaughter him.
After what you did to the British Bulldog, sooner or later, our paths are going to cross anyway. So your days are
Our cross.
Your days are numbered. Without a doubt.
It's live TV, baby.
I know.
You know it. No lies detected from the hitman. Bret Hart.
He really didn't. He wasn't the worst on the mic. I mean, he wasn't the best either, but he didn't have to be.
Yeah, it wasn't really his shtick, if you will.
Yeah, his forte. I mean, but you guys know, Bret lives right here. He's right after Shawn for me, so you can't.
You weren't. Yeah, you didn't have to be a Dusty Rhodes or a Ric Flair to when you were that good inside the ring. But interesting main event. But this is what I mean. Back in the day, you would have a guy from one tier against a guy from clearly another tier, and at least again, so many different intermingling programs. You've already seen Legion of Doom against the Nation and Run-Ins and Ahmed Johnson, Goldust, who is in a program or in a feud with another member of the Hart Foundation.
Right.
You presume.
I think that's where it brings it together, though, because it's like he's in a feud with Pillman, so I guess they can at least draw on it that way.
I don't remember Dustin having this. Man, it's a big fight from Dustin early on. Could throw a great working punch. I don't remember him having the half pin on the face.
I was going to say, I think this was when he first started playing with the face paint, too. Because if you think about it, he's showing himself as like half man, half Goldust here.
This is the blurred lines of
yes, because he's showing like, I lost my wife, I'm going through a hard time, etc.
I mean, she's squealing like a piggy, and he's painting half his face. I'm just quoting here.
So philosophical,
and Brett begging off here, already chatting to the crowd. He was very subtle with the differences between the, he went from the super white meat babyface to quite whiny. A lot of people say that was no different to the real Bret Hart. Very whiny, just antagonistic, complaining. Yeah. But in terms of his in-ring I suppose game plan, his in-ring activity didn't really change much.
Consistent, totally changed the same. I mean, it's not changed the same, excuse me. It totally stayed the same, didn't change at all. I mean, it's just, he kind of talked more, you know, he did a lot more shit talking, you know, talk down on America, things like that, you know, whatever gets the fans going.
And who can blame him? Alienate a
How
lot of
dare
power.
you, sir? How dare you?
Alienate 84 of our 86 viewers. Again, Brett immediately taking off the crowd, but going after the knee, which would presumably set up goals for the sharpshooter. Brett always speaks really highly of Dustin as well. You think Dustin, again, what you mentioned about the second generation superstars. He had it difficult as well because he was gonna struggle to live up to his dad.
Right.
Dustin.
Because that was such a big star too. It's so hard.
Not everybody had the charisma, I can't do this dusty voice. I've only had one glass of wine. Three glasses of wine.
The charisma.
Then we start talking about the dream, baby. They're making Gene Dusty Rose. 270 pounds, 330. Yeah, that's another voice that's banned at home. You can't. It's so hard to try to emulate that type of character. So he had to go in his own route, and did a pretty good job of it. Dustin's still the man.
Definitely. I think he definitely found his happy place being somewhere between Goldust and now he's the natural Dustin Rhodes, but still paints the face, still has a similar hair.
Bret Hart giving the bird to the crowd. You horrible man.
He is. He's a villain.
And referee Earl Hebner. If you look here as well, if you see what was normally the old entrance ramp, a lot of the top brass there, a lot of some corporate suits. I'm trying to work out who a lot of the people are. There's a lot of 90s type suits. I could never understand. I love that little attack on the knee that Bret does. Goes flying across the ring himself.
Oh yeah, so good.
There's some guy with like some
Bret
guy with
was,
all different signs that I can't make out. Bret was
39 here-ish, turning 40 here actually. It's just September. His birthday's in July. And just moved just as well as he did 10 years prior.
Again,
I feel like he could have gone so much longer, even, you know, obviously he got hurt and things like that, but his career was definitely cut short.
Honestly, Wrestler's peak, I think Wrestler's peak between, you'd probably say 35 and 45.
Absolutely. Because the ring ability, the experience, like your body is still, you know, in a good space where it's still agile and things like that. That's definitely when most wrestlers peak. I mean, look at perfect example, someone who I love, my new Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton. He's in that spot now.
But
Are you all right?
We'll pick up on that another time. Shawn Michaels is out again. This show's had a lot of Shawn. We've had 3 recaps from One Night Only. He's come out, could have promo at the start. He's then attacked The Undertaker, and now he's out again. And I like the fact JR's recapping this by saying Brian Pillman's ran off with Goldust's wife. Cactus Jack has won a false count anyway match, and The Undertaker's chased after DX. So there's a lot gone on so far.
Oh.
But
Shawn is bottles.
Oh, man. Again, you look at Shawn, I just can't, never liked him. Never, ever. Even in, like, say, the mid-90s when he became the guy. Just don't like him. There's no real rational explanation because, yeah, I appreciate his great work. Even I liked Razor Ramon as a kid, so they had their mini feuds. Like Razor, always loved Brett. And then who else did he really work with?
Razor is not Shawn.
Say that again.
Say
that again.
I said Razor is not Shawn.
Yeah, I like Scott. I like Scott.
Not in WWF at that time. Like, of course, he was Intercontinental Champion. You know, he had a few victories over Shawn, things like that. But he wasn't pushed the way Shawn was.
He wasn't. Probably should have been as well.
Oh, definitely should have been. I mean, I think if he stayed there longer, when you think about it, you know that Vince was really planning for the company to be around Shawn and Razor and Diesel and, you know, things
Click.
got, yeah, things
The
got
Click of
changed.
Bret Hart.
The Click, I mean, think about that, how cool it would have been, the Click versus the Hart Foundation.
Well, you forget again, around this time, Rick Rude left. Bret, the two guys who were really running the locker room, arguably in spite of the Click, were Bret and Taker. So Cactus
From the previous generation.
Pardon?
Like you're saying, like from the previous generation, like
between like the mid 90s up until even the Attitude Era, 97. I'm pretty sure the Undertaker comes out and attacks Shawn as well. And who can blame him, because he's acting like a complete another douchebag on the ramp there. But was Bret and Taker were around for 90 to 97, and they were, again, Bret was respected due to Stu Hart and Stampede, and he paid his dues. Again, he'd been there since '84.
of course.
Mick Foley didn't come to Raw the day after Survivor Series. Rick Rude walked out, never came back to the company again. And there was a lot
Rude and Bret were very close, though.
And Rude had a lot of stroke as well. He was part of the '80s era that evolved in the night, came to WCW back again. A lot of the old school, all the time veterans. So around this time, you've got the Legion 2, Ron Simmons, guys who've been around a bit. They didn't really like DX's antics, and especially the pull that they had with Vince.
Right.
And why wouldn't they? You know, if you're at work and you know a guy there who is one of the best performing salesmen is always in the boss's ear, and the boss, and he's a favorite, you're not going to like him.
Of course,
you imagine
you shouldn't like him.
And look at Shawn's bravado. You know, he wasn't trying to hide it. I can go to Vince and get you and get you. Would you said to Vader, I can go to Vince and get you sacked. Ha ha.
Yeah, and then he had a following backstage too. So it's like he started to recruit, you know, his cronies or whatever. So it's not like, if it was just him by himself, it's one thing. But then when he starts to, you know, gather stamina and have a group with him, that speaks volumes, and it makes people hate you even more. You're like, shit, he's getting followers. Oh my God, it's growing.
Yeah, 94, you've got Scott Razor, who's the IC champ. You've got the 1, 2, 3 kid, who's the best, hottest young thing in the company. And then you've also got Diesel, who's the WWF champion.
Right.
Big Bulldog by Dustin. 1, 2, no. I think we're going to have to go back and listen to more Vince commentary just to see if I'm right about the 1, 2, yet no.
Oh, yes, you are. You don't have to guess.
There was a guy in the front row in a yellow shirt who was at his arms folded for 2 hours. Couldn't be more disappointed with this. Bret's got the sharpshooter, and Goldust tapped within seconds.
So
and like a true heel, Bret leaves the move on.
Holds it on. So it's like, does Shawn break it because he's right? Is he breaking it because he's a babyface, or is he just breaking because he hates Bret?
And dare I say it, Bret is not doing much selling for HBK.
No.
And here comes DX. You know, wow, Triple H must have got a serious cut.
With the bandage.
And here's Owen. Yeah, get him, Owen.
Look at Bulldog selling it.
Bulldog selling injury from the night before after being assaulted.
I just love that Rick Rude is
going
out here.
Straight for the leg.
Yeah, straight for the leg, in a suit.
God, Rick Rude could throw a serious punch.
Because the anvil.
Yeah, the anvil kind of gets lost in the shuffle. He's another one. Oh, here comes the Undertaker. Let's track it because Jay will be going bananas. It's the Undertaker. So you've got Undertaker, Shawn, and Bret all in the ring. Undertaker's got
Undertaker doesn't care. He's not taking any prisoners.
Double choke slam. So I can have the speak. And we go off there with the Undertaker choke slamming Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart as Raw signs off for another week. Lissy, what are your thoughts of the show?
This is the era that I love, and this is the era that we grew up in. It's pure nostalgia for someone our age, as you reminded me earlier. But really love this show. I mean, I think that they put it together really nicely. I actually like this sort of ending because even though it's chaotic and it's kind of battling that NWO crazy WCW like mayhem at the end, you saw how quick that was? Like they didn't draw it out super long, and then you still have like a definitive, okay, Undertaker chokeslams Brett and Shawn, boom, Undertaker is still on top. So it's still showing that dominance where it's like, it's not a flat ending. It ends in some sort of conclusion. And it also helps to set up because we know in a couple of months, Brett versus Shawn. And then they obviously prior to that, we have, Shawn versus Undertaker, Hell in a Cell. So it's like, we're really building that story between these three guys for whatever is coming in the future.
I mean, and it worked as well. 2.5 weeks later, we had In Your House Bad Blood, In Your House 18 in the Kiel Center in St. Louis. It was a sellout, 21,151 people in attendance, which is a 240,000 buy rate as well. And they plugged it very well. Brett mentioned it before the main event. I don't care who wins that cage match in 2 weeks' time. Shawn plugged it. You've got the Undertaker attacking Shawn, and then he comes back and gets his revenge. But again, they were building storylines probably better in this era than they had done since back in. I've got to go back to think like 89, 90. They seem to have a particular drop off between say 91 through to about 95, 6, where
Definitely.
Right, we've got to do something different now because this ain't working. And I think that flowed by. The matches weren't really. I thought the match between Triple H and Cactus Jack was really good. Mm-hmm. The first two matches, Ahmed Johnson against The Rock, he got the LOD against The Nation. Again, both DQ finishers. Owen Hart and the Brian Pillman match, DQ finish, but that did what it needed to. Again, storyline progression.
But still entertaining.
Still entertaining, and they worked it really. Oh, the genius! They found ways to make it entertaining. Then Bret Hart and Goldust in a good match where I think Bret, knowing Bret as he is, he probably wasn't very happy that Shawn stole the spotlight throughout. People are looking at him and throwing bottles at him rather than looking at that much. But that was a really fun show, and I remember during that time there were a lot of Raws that really were hard to, not necessarily hard to watch, but there was a lot of stuff you could flick through, and that I didn't feel like there was anything that you could have flicked past, or it was at least worth watching for 5 minutes to see where they went with it.
Yeah, it was nonstop action, and then of course we can't forget this was the first time that Stone Cold really let loose. He stunned Vince, and then this was that birth of the Mr. McMahon character, and that's one of the best, or if not the best, rivalry in that Attitude Era. It's Stone Cold versus Mr. McMahon, where Stone Cold doesn't necessarily need to be chasing the belt all the time because it's like it's him versus the boss. So that story tells itself. Exactly.
I may be the best guy in the company, but if I don't have the boss on my side, he could make my life a living hell. And, he does. If you look into 98, Austin was a champion. Fair enough, he came for a day. But between March and then September, he was champion. And then likewise, I want to say he won it back at WrestleMania 15. He lost it back to The Undertaker within about 3 months and then wasn't champion again until 2001 at WrestleMania with the famous turn against The Rock. So, yeah, it does work. It's just a question of how you book it. And our next showing will be, again, it's a very different time in 4 years later for Unforgiven 2001 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, sellout at the Mellon Arena. I think it's now the Civic. Was it the Civic Auditorium when the NWA was there? That saw Kurt Angle and Stone Cold in the main event. But it was a good undercard as well. Got The Rock against Booker T, Rob Van Dam against Chris Jericho, Undertaker and Kane beating the bejesus out of Chronic. And a couple of good fun matches elsewhere. Dudley Boys against Big Show and Spike Dudley. Big Show and Spike Dudley. Don't even remember that as a team. The Hurricane last time. Do you remember the Big Show and Spike Dudley?
I don't, but it was probably so short-lived. Maybe once or twice sort of thing, I'm hoping.
We are going to have to do an episode on how many different tag partners the Big Show has in a Saturday. He's like 20 years.
So many.
Man, he's got around a bit like some of my. Never mind. Well, listen, finish it off. Can you give us? You like to give a grade? Can we get a grade for the September 22nd edition of Raw?
You know what? I'm gonna give them an A-.
A- for this. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I'm a little bit more of an easy man to please than you. We had the Hart Foundation. Sean being the dastardly, horrible man that he is, and in character, and Bret Hart, in my opinion, in character, take a look like a badass, and Austin was the man. So it was a 9 out of 10 for me. Liz, it's been a pleasure. Fingers crossed we'll speak to you again later in the week for Unforgiven 2001. You can sign off now.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks for watching.
JJ, come back.